Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome, thank you. How's it going, Grand Thrift Apparel? James Barreca. How you guys doing? Just decided to jump on here. So go ahead. Go ahead with your question. Straighten the stem on the E-Move Cruiser V2. I don't know how. I don't know much about the V2. It hasn't been out that long. Um, I haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen too much what to do with the stem at all, to be honest. Roadrunner RX-7. You may have to replace the stem, Grand Thrift. You may have to just replace it completely. So RX-7, it's interesting. Obviously, you know, they had the issues with the panels, you know, going out, blinking out, spotting up, whatever you want to call it, and so people are kind of tentative to kind of go toward it. They did just replace them with some different panels, road glow panels instead of Luminor, and so they are they are supposed to be better panels, and they're also easier to disconnect. And in case you do have to replace them, they're just a quick, easy connection. So it's it's a really nice scooter, I think. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the lighting's supposed to be better. You got a new manufacturer for that, and once again, assuming that you might still have problems, it's supposed to be much more difficult uh, to have the same problems, much more easy to fix, but less likely to happen. Say it that way. So yeah, it's tempting. It's a tempting scooter if they've solved that problem. Personally, I would wait to see if it works. I would wait to see um, if they're fixed if it works. My biggest thing with the RX-7 that I think they should do are the people that already got them. I think they should get to replace them with the new ones for free. But they last I seen they were actually going to charge those customers they could upgrade. They would still support the old ones if they went out. They would send them replacements, which aren't any good. But they won't fully admit that. They won't fully own that. They say they own it, but they won't. They don't show it by offering their customers who had, in my opinion, faulty panels to automatically replace them with the supposedly better free panels. And so I would wait to see how that goes. Me personally, I would wait to see. Uh, yeah, exactly. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that they're kind of doing their previous customers like that. And I think they have the new display. Everyone's still waiting on the new display too for the RX-7. So those things, I personally, I would wait. I mean, that's just my opinion. I like the scooter a lot, and there's no rush, but I would just kind of chill and see how it goes with the new panels and so forth. Uh, and the display. Supposedly, the new display is coming out. So if they fix those things, like the old display, I've heard is just really not good. And so they were supposed to put a better display. In fact, they were already supposed to send this out to customers that bought the RX-7 previously, but they haven't. So yeah, it's a tricky situation with Roadrunner right now, and with the RX-7 for sure. And I'm not sold. Yeah, I'll just wait a little bit, see how it goes, see if they really pull it off. It's an awesome scooter. Um, the lights, set it apart from pretty much every other scooter, the way it's set up, and it's a really cool idea if it works. And like I said, if they get the better panel for sure. What other questions you guys got? I do like the Cruiser V2 dual motor that's coming out. As far as talking about the V2, I'm not big into single motors and in general. But in fact, I've only owned dual motor scooters myself. But yeah, so I don't really like the single motor ones. I think there's a, yeah, in Denver, you talking about the RX-7 being designed here in the United States. Yeah, I kind of wish. See, I lived in Denver for about 6 years. Yeah, I lived in Denver for about 6 years, and I wasn't. Electric scooters weren't where they are at this point, and so I wish Roadrunner was there when I was there, or at least I wish I still lived in Denver for that reason, because I could go hang out at Roadrunner, and they let you test all their scooters and so forth, and I'll probably have a really close relationship with them by now if I still lived in Denver, because Denver has got to be the most awesome place to ride a scooter. I used to go walking all the time, just to go walking because it's so nice there. So the mountains, and you're pretty much just walking with the mountains all around you, and it's just really it's really fun. You don't have to really talk yourself into doing it because it's just such a nice walk, and there's hills everywhere, so it's a nice bit of exercise. And I walked a lot. I walked quite a bit. Um, Most of the time that I lived there, I was out walking just to get out sometimes. But anyway, uh, so I would ride scooter. I couldn't imagine. I like riding scooters around here. I live in Oklahoma now, but I ride scooters around here, and it's enjoyable. But if I had places to go, like I did in Denver, there's so many trails, and there's just so many places to travel and so forth. I would be all over Denver. I'm pretty sure on a roadrunner of some sort. But yeah, the eMove Cruiser V2 dual motor 60 volt, I think is a really sweet scooter. It's going to be nice. I also like the fact that they increased the battery from a 52 volt to a 60 volt, and so I think the performance of the scooter is going to be even better. So when they first released the single motor, I thought they were going to release the dual motor and the single motor at the same time, have two different versions right off the bat, but they didn't. They just had the one single motor version. And so since they didn't release that um, until later on, the second motor, the dual motor rather, when they released that later on, then the people that still had the single motor can upgrade. They can get an upgrade kit to go up to a dual motor, get the second motor, and hook it up, and you get the hydraulic brakes with it and everything. But you pay $500. So the V2 costs $1,500, and the V2 dual motor system costs $2,000. So a difference of $500. So you can upgrade your 52 volt, but you're not going to get a bigger battery. So you're still going to get you're still going to get the 52 volt battery, but you won't it won't be a full upgrade. So even though you're paying $2,000 in all, 1,500 for the scooter, and then 500 to upgrade, you know, I think they should probably charge less for the upgrade, or go down in price for the cruiser. Just single motor. Actually, when I think about it, the only real choice there is to go down on the actual. It is. It is, Blaze. What I was saying though is that the dual motor is 60 volt, but I'm saying if you upgrade the single motor, it's a 52. So even though the dual motor is $2,000, if you upgrade a single motor to the dual motor, it's still going to cost you $2,000 in all because the single motor is 1,500 and the upgrade is 500. So if you already have a single motor and you want to go to a dual motor, you're going to pay the same as if you would have bought a 60 volt at the time. So, yeah, I was pretty much commenting on the fact that I think they should probably charge maybe like $300 for the upgrade, just because if they're going to be having a 52 volt version, it shouldn't cost all in all the same as a 60 volt version. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. 1980s. That was a long time ago. I like the RS Lite. I like the RS Lite. The one, the issues with the RS, there are issues with every scooter. I don't believe there's a scooter that would have no issues. The closest one I could think of that I've heard, very little about in a negative manner, of course, is a Segway, but there aren't that many. There's literally one scooter that Segway makes that I would ride, and once again, it's because it's a dual motor. They only make one dual motor scooter, which is the GT2. Now they came out with the GT3 Pro, but I'm assuming it's replacing the GT2, and so the GT2 is probably going away, and it's going to be replaced by the GT3 Pro. Hopefully not, because I like the GT2 a tad bit better. Although I like the GT3 Pro fine. Depends on what they price it at. I haven't seen a final price for that. So in any case, the RS Lite is a super nice scooter. I like the RS and the RS Lite, and the RS Lite, does plenty, right? It does plenty, and for the money, I mean, really can't go wrong. But there are issues with the RS and the RS Lite that people are having, and it has to do with the cables, the connector cables for the motor. They end up shorting out. They're flawed, or way they support them, or whatever it is. With the I suppose it's with the suspension, and since it has the play in the suspension, that it kind of eventually will cause a short in that wire that runs to the hub motors. So that's a known problem. Sine wave controllers, I'll tell you, they're really touchy. They're really touchy, and if you and the RS, even the RS and the RS Lite, both are capable of pretty high speeds and fast acceleration, and I've heard those motor controllers going out time and time again, just trying to ride it in the normal high mode that you would ride in, and throwing error codes and so forth. So those things are something to take into account. And once again, these are not problems that are only for the RS or the RS Lite, but they are known problems for the RS and RS Lite. And they're going to come out with the rumor is they're coming out with a new version of the RS. I'm assuming an RS Lite as well, but don't know for sure. Later this year. So you might want to wait. You might want to see how that goes. And I think it's rumored to be called, and I don't know how true this is, just a rumor, but I heard it's supposed to be called the V9, which is interesting because eMotion has all of the electric unicycles that have like V10, V11, and so I thought they already had a V9 electric unicycle, but I could be wrong. So it'll be interesting to me if they call it the V9. But supposedly that's the rumor, and they're supposed to come out with the replacement for the RS this year sometime. What else? Yeah, you would think that they would come up with a way um, to fix that, Derek, and even improve on what they have now. But you know, I'm not seeing that. I haven't heard too much, in that regard as far as doing something like that. I know they're supporting it. I know that they're doing their best, but even getting replacement parts can be a wait right now. So uh, they're constantly trying to keep up with the problems, and so if that's the case, that means there's a lot of problems. And that, like I said, if they're not able to provide parts on a timely manner, it's because there's too many problems going on with the scooter, and people are bringing them, uh, having to replace these things and putting orders in for replacement parts, and they're not able to meet the demand, which is a problem. So it's much better to wait, until they to get some of these fixed. Hopefully, the new RS won't have those same problems, or the V9 or whatever it's going to be called. But the RS is an awesome scooter. It's an awesome scooter. Um, it's flawed somewhat, and I know people that have had them, at least a year, and they've had multiple issues with them. And if you're prepared for that, uh, hey, protege, appreciate it, bro. Thank you. So yeah, I like the RS a lot, but man, you gotta really be committed to that scooter if you get it, because you're probably going to be working on it yourself, and you're going to be waiting for parts. Yeah, so you're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to want to work on scooters a lot, from what I hear. So I've already had to do a little bit with my Klima, mostly brake stuff. Rotors, I had to reseat the front rotor because it was off, unbalanced in a sense, and so it was rubbing the caliper support, and there's nicks in it where it was rubbing, and so I had to reseat the front rotor, and the first brakes that I got with it were faulty. The brake lights stayed on, and so I couldn't use the brakes because they stayed on all the time, and and then the left brake actually leaked all the fluid leaked out, so I had no pressure in the rear brake, which is probably the most important. I could do with not having a front brake, but the rear brake, you have to have a rear brake, otherwise it would go flying if you have to stop. So I had no pressure in my rear brake, um, and I had plenty of pressure in the front brake, and my electronic brakes didn't work at all, and the brake lights stayed on constantly. So I got a hold of Fluid Free Rides. I got a hold of Michael Shaw. I got the problem sort of nailed down, and then had to fix it myself. I mean, that's if you get a scooter, unless you live near a scooter shop, um, and you're wanting to put in, which I mean that would be ridiculous to get a brand new scooter and had to go to a scooter shop. I mean, are they going to pay the scooter shop? So, of course, I don't live by a scooter shop, so I just fix it myself. And excuse me. And which rating was it? The customer service video I did where I went through them, or did you have a good experience or bad experience? Yeah, I've had quite a bit of contact with Voro Motors at this point. I made a video um, where I wasn't I wasn't doing a rating video. I was just talking about the service that Voro had. I had heard stories from, which once again had to do with the RS. One of the stories said that they stretched on. He was waiting several months to get these parts back. I think it was his motor controllers that went out, and he was trying to get parts back, and they had taken several months. Either Voro nor InMotion had gotten back to him in several months after getting the scooter and having these problems. And so, I don't think he had the scooter very long at all. And I mentioned it on a video, and I guess Voro Motors has been watching my videos. Shout out to Voro Motors, and they commented on the video, and they said that what I said was false. That they don't. It doesn't take a long time to get responses from them and so forth. And so they challenged me to go and call their customer service and see how quickly they answered, and then go call a few more and see how that played out. And my response was, what I got from it was that I mean, it does come with a caveat. I didn't really have a problem. I was just auditing. And so I go, I call up and I say, okay, I ask them some questions, and I ask them specifically about the InMotion RS and some of these things I'm talking about with customer service. And they let me know that that they had stock, but their stock was low, and they're waiting for replenishment from InMotion, so forth. So to me, once again, that still means that there's a little bit of a problem keeping up with demand. If they were keeping up with demand, they would be well stocked. So somewhere along the supply chain, that is getting held up. And so for that reason, I'd be really hesitant to get an RS right at this moment, just because it's a real problem. And although, like I said, a lot of scooters have problems, this is one that seems to be recurring and recurring fairly often if they can't stay in stock. But other than that, it's a great scooter, and people that have them do love the scooters, and a lot of them are willing to continue to work on them and build them and so forth to keep that going, because that's how much they enjoy the scooter. I don't know why I keep getting. So, have a drink of water. Throat's drying up while I'm talking. So, yeah, I like the RS. Voro Motors was the quickest. I mean, I contacted them at 2 a.m. just to see if they would answer. He recommended I do it, so I contacted him at 2 a.m. On the live chat. A real person got on. I was a little bit surprised, but a live person did get on the chat fairly quickly, and I just ran it through the ringer. I didn't really have any real issues, or I didn't, so I couldn't really give them any problems. All I did was ask them some questions about the InMotion RS and so forth, and and they let me, like I said, they were honest with me, so I appreciated that. Um, they were they would let me know if they would support me, and so forth. But I dug a little deeper and dug a little deeper. And hey, what's up, Retro Shaver dude? I decided to do a live stream. I haven't did any videos in a few days. I just haven't had anything to to put a video. I just don't have anything to talk about this second. I did a podcast. I'm trying to set up another podcast with the average guy 1983. But he won't be available this weekend, so it's going to push out till next weekend. So I have another podcast with him and Tiger Tiger. I can't remember the last four is like something TAC, GRM TAC or something like that. So we're going to do a podcast, and then um, Average Guy 1983 is inviting a friend of his. So hopefully, I have 4 people on the podcast in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm planning on doing some more podcasts. I enjoyed that. It's kind of nice. I kind of like this too because it helps me keep going. A lot of times I'm just sitting in front of the camera. I'm trying to come up with videos every day, and I just run out of stuff to say. And so I jump on here and and try to come up with videos on a daily basis. But maybe on days where I don't have a specific video to do, I can just jump on live stream and chat with you guys maybe around this time of the day. So awesome. Thank you. Thanks, James. Yeah, fluid free ride. I haven't heard any updates. I'm assuming it's going the way that everyone thinks it's going to go. I'll be surprised if there's a sharp turn at the end in a different direction. But I think almost. I mean, I haven't gotten anything back other than people pretty much assume they're going out of business, and so I think they have until they don't have until what I heard from them is that they're going to be out by the end of February if they don't find a buyer. So uh, I haven't heard anything in any other direction, and so I'm assuming that's where we're heading toward. Like I said, if a buyer steps up at the end and picks it up, um, we'll see. But I know that, yeah, I hope they are. I hope they are bought out. Personally, I like because that means hopefully that they'll honor my warranty if indeed they do get bought out, and I'm still under warranty for another 9 months on my Klima. And then if um, otherwise, I've got to probably either try to get Michael Shaw to honor the warranty from China, but I'm probably going to have to pay shipping on anything, which is pretty expensive. So it's not as nice as the relationship I have with Fluid, and then of course a big reason I bought the Klima is because you got 50% off all of your parts for the scooter for the lifetime of the scooter. So theoretically, you could keep the scooter going for years and years and years. Being a new battery, it would only be like 50% of the cost of the battery otherwise. And so those things are pretty much out the window now. And I've got to pivot now. What I've heard is Voro Motors, and I haven't heard this from Voro Motors, but I have heard that Voro Motors is supposed to not buy, but they have a relationship now with Nami, and so they're going to start selling Namis, supporting Namis, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that as well because that means I'll have a supplier here in the United States where I can get Nami parts for. Right now, the only other people that I know of is Wired Rides, but I don't maybe this will change since Fluid's kind of leaving the scene, but they don't stock a lot of parts for Namis. I don't, they're not. If Fluid had every single part you could think of, at least in there, and all of them were in stock, and now I know why. Um, but yeah, they theoretically stock all their parts and so forth for everything you can imagine, everything. Awesome, awesome retro. Yeah, keep me posted. You always do, but just yeah, keep me posted. So, so yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have a U.S. supplier where I could go with issues in the future if I have them. I don't know that I'll replace the battery. The battery's really expensive, but it wasn't too bad if I could get half off. So if I can find it at a reasonable price, if something ever happens to this one, which if I have it long enough, I'm sure it will. But otherwise, I'll probably get something else. Right now, I'm really not sure what I want to get, when I want to get it exactly, but it'll probably be around springtime if I do pull the trigger on something. Right now, I like the eMove Project Daytona scooter, whatever that's going to be called, and I like the Cruiser V2 dual motor. I mean, I know it's a 10-inch tire and so forth, but I don't know. I like that scooter a lot, and I don't think it would be a terrible compliment to my Klima. I think they'll complement each other nice. Um, Although I'm interested in finding an 11-inch scooter. Just depends. I mean, the emu is like 13 inches. So yeah, that's a big tire. That's a big scooter. But man, it's cool, and the fact that they're doing all of what they're doing for under $4,000 makes it so tempting. I can't believe. I mean, I was expecting that scooter to be $6,000, you know, and so the fact that they're keeping it clean and keeping it efficient and creating a beast scooter for less than $4,000, pretty much just everything you need in that scooter is really really awesome. I love it. I love the idea of it, and yeah. So I don't really care about the GT3 Pro that much. Yeah, I don't really like the white color either, the Daytona. Uh, but they have more colors. It's not only being sold in white. They have black, which is probably the one I would pick. I don't know if it's going to be like the Cruiser where it's like orange, green, black, white. I think it is. So I don't know. I don't know for sure about that. But I'll probably get the black. Most of the time I'm looking for black. There are some scooters I really like some of the colors, the other colors on, and but most of the time I'm looking at black scooters. What else we got? I know the Daytona's. I saw somewhere said 72 volt 50 amp hour, but that's not. Last I heard, it's not been decided on. Yeah. So it's either going to be 40 or 50 uh, amp hours, and the reason why is because of the battery size and shipping. So they want to keep it to where they're not overloading the customers with a bunch of shipping. Or if they offer free shipping, they still have to build that in to the cost of the scooter. So they could say, we'll ship it for free, but that doesn't mean it's actually free. So it's not. They're just paying for shipping. So they've got to cover their end, and so they're trying to reduce that overhead by keeping it under a certain. There's like a they're right at the point where you go over that weight. It's like a threshold, and if you go over that threshold, then you have to pay an increased rate, like up to so many pounds or whatever. So they're trying to stay within that guideline to make it at least less expensive for the customer. So that's a good thing. And personally, I could deal with a 40 volt, 72 volts, 40 amp hour battery myself. That's more than I would probably ever need. It goes 70 miles an hour because I would never go 70 miles an hour, but it'd just be very cool to have a beefy, heavy scooter that had that potential. And of course that will just for me personally will into my range, how much range I get out of it, because even on my Klima, which is a 60 volt, 25 amp hour, um, it's only, I get 40, 50 miles of range out of it the way I ride it, which is roughly around 20 miles an hour. 20, 25. I can't, I'm 20 plus, in that range like most of the time. So my average, I'm sure, is lower just because I can't go 20 everywhere. But anywhere I have some little bit of room, I'm going like 20 plus. So I don't think I've hit 30 yet. I'll probably hit 25, maybe 26. So I'm not really paying that close attention. But when I do glance down, the fastest I've seen in person is 25 miles an hour. But the Hyperion, yeah, I like it a lot. They made me a good deal on it. I wasn't really looking for that right then. But they made me a good deal on it, and I couldn't. I mean, I was like, I wasn't prepared. I was just asking about the fact that you couldn't get the option to not have the Tron light, but you're still being charged for the Tron light. So they had a 12% discount on there, but now it's a 10% discount, and so you can still get a decent amount. 10% is not bad. But if I did decide to go that way, I think I would hit up their customer service and see if they would still give me that deal. Because I do, yeah, I'm with you. If I can get that scooter for less than $3,000, that's also really tempting. And solar, I don't know much about their customer service. Once again, I mean, I will tell you that they got the highest rating on my ratings because I wasn't even asking for a discount or something. I was just wanting to know, what they could do to change that. And they were like, well, just take, you can have choose your color, and this, we won't charge you for it, and you'll still get the 12% off. And like I said, it came out to like $500-600 difference from like $32.99. So I was under $3,000 at that point. So yeah, that's definitely a consideration. Still one of the scooters I have in my mind. I'm even considering other types of scooters too. I'm trying to keep it all open. That one video I did where I was looking at the seated scooters. My interest has never really been in the seated scooters, but I kind of like them too. I mean, I'm just not sure. Like, we'll see how it all goes. I guess I'll see how it all goes over the next couple of months, and then make my decision. But yeah, I'll keep my options open right now. I like some of the seated scooters, but some of them, I don't know. I like the stand up scooters myself right now. I just enjoy riding them, and so but it might be nice to have something different, to choose from. What else? I'm trying to think of stuff. Yeah, it's been cold. Um, One thing I've been worried about my Klima because I run it down to where I can take so the way I look at it is if I can take an 8-hour trip, which I think uses about 12% battery, uh, and I could take that trip, then I won't recharge it because I could do a little more, but I'll go ahead and let it get down to the point where I can no longer get 12%. I don't have another 12%, but before it drops below 20. And so if it drops below 20, if I'm in that range, like it'll be like 28%. And the 28%, which is coincidentally where I end up a lot, 28% I have to recharge because um, I don't only have 8% to go before I go under 20. So I'll recharge it to 28%. Um, like I said, because it's more than 12% uh, difference from 20. So I don't like to plan. Like I said, if I was out and I had something to do and I happen to drop below 20%, it's not the end of the world. But I don't do it intentionally. So I try to plan for it. In any case, I charge my scooter up fully. I mean, I don't charge it up to a certain point. I don't even know how to charge it up to a certain point because I have to go back and disconnect it and check it again and so forth. But in any case, so I charge it. I charge it all the way up, and then I go out. But it's been cold, and so I charged it up to 100%, and then I went out a couple of times, which weren't really very long trips and stuff. So I haven't been able to eat enough battery, so I'm staying in the 90% for like a few weeks at a time sometimes, and you're not really supposed to do that. Well, I can't. I have a voltmeter, but I can't turn on the scooter while it's charging. So, like I said, I had to stop charging it, turn it on, check the display. And I don't have the voltmeter on, but I think there is an option to get there on the clean lines. Jay, I think there's a rumor. Of course, they just came out with the Super Stellar. It was already out, but they released it in the United States. And then there's a rumor that they're coming out with a dual stem NAMI, possibly next version of a Bernie or something. I'm not sure about that, but there's a rumor of a dual stem NAMI. I heard a couple different places at this point, and so hopefully that's true. Yeah, I don't keep it at 100 for sure. I don't charge it and keep it at 100. But I've had right now I'm like I think I'm in the low 90s. No, I'm in the 80s now. I think I'm in the 80s. I went for a ride today, so I didn't get any footage though. I don't have too many places to go, so I know that I keep doing the same footage over and over and over again, just talking through the footage. But I think I'm gonna try to do more live streams. This is flowing pretty nicely, and you guys have lots of good questions. I keep me going here, and pretty fun so far. Thanks, you guys, for jumping on too. I will say something I've been thinking about lately is that I'm excited about possibly get another scooter here in spring, and I've been through this a couple times now with scooters, and not the first one was pretty simple. I mean, I wasn't that invested in it. I spent $500 on uh, her Journey Max, Hover One Journey Max. Uh, nothing crazy. It was my first scooter I've ever had, and so I just wanted something that could move me well, not have to worry about hills, not have to. I mean, I don't live. There's not a ton of hills, but there's some, and so I don't want to have problems when I have to go that way. So I don't want to mess with hills. I want hills to be not a problem, and the Journey Max is, in my opinion, probably the best scooter at the price range if you want to handle hills. Now you can get the InMotion Climber for like only $100 more, like $600, and that's a pretty good scooter. I like it better than the Journey Max. But for what it is, the Journey Max is a solid scooter. I mean, I haven't had the slightest problem out of it. Not the slightest problem. The only real problem that I've had is really just a cheap scooter problem. which is uh, it's got tube tires, and changing those tubes on that hub motor is a real pain, serious pain, and I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it at all. Not that changing tires is ever really fun, but I popped several tubes, and I was really careful, and it got really frustrating. I even switched to a solid tire on the back because I had two different flats on the back, and I know they're most common. So I was like, well, I'll just put a solid tire on the back. And I did not have a. I didn't like it. I lost tons of range. I probably lost 25% range. Put in a, and that was the biggest thing. The other thing is once I got around 19 miles an hour and I continued to give it throttle, the back wheel would kind of start vibrating like a making a kind of jiggling. It didn't feel it. I couldn't feel it, but I heard it. I mean, I could feel it, but not like in a wobbly way, but just rough riding and a kind of sound. And so, uh, yeah, that's why I got it. I saw it carry Rainier up the hill, and I was convinced. when I when I saw when I saw Rainier zip up that hill on a Journey Max, and I was watching it, one of the scooters I was watching at the time, and it dropped the price to below $500 total, and so I only paid 440 plus tax. It ended up being still under $500. Um, but yeah, that's why I got it. To be honest, I saw Electric Scooter Guide, and like I said, Rainier being like 235 pounds, just went zip right up that hill. And I thought, yeah, I'm not even 235, so sure, I'll take it. And then it was a really good price. I couldn't pass up less than $500. And so, and like I said, I mean, no, there's no stem wobble. There's no stem play. I mean, nothing. It's a solid scooter. Goes 20, 21 miles an hour right in there. Gets us, for me, a solid 18 miles of range, going top speed, the whole time. And I heard other people have different experiences where they say they can't get 15 miles out of it. Now I had that problem when I put the rear solid tire on there, but with my tube tires, I get, because I changed the other one back and my range came right back. So it was 100%. It was a rear solid tire making that difference. And then I just didn't feel safe with that whatever that noise was that it started making above 19. It was only when I held the throttle for some reason. So it was just a weird thing, odd thing. So I got rid of it. I'm never ever getting a scooter with solid tires again. I didn't really want to this time. I just got so tired of trying to change those tubes, but I eventually got it. And so once again, I think I said before, but I don't really want to put a lot of time and energy and resources into the Hover One Journey Max anymore. So I'm looking for something else to get into. And like I said, there's some really good deals on scooters. There's a lot of scooters that I really like. And then also there's some other seated scooters. The Roadrunner Pro is interesting. I wish it was a little cheaper. I wish it was a little cheaper. If I could get a decent discount off of it or something like that, or they did a temporary price drop. I haven't seen that on that scooter though. Even Black Friday, I don't think that the price dropped. So if it would go below 2,500, because I'm going to have to get the additional battery for sure, and then I'm probably going to have to upgrade the shocks, suspension. In the rear, I don't think you can upgrade the front, which sucks. But the rear is probably the most important, I would think. And it does have front shocks. They're just not adjustable, and they're pretty basic. So, but it's a nice little zippy scooter, and sit down scooter, which is the look of it. It's okay. It's just okay. There are other scooters that sit down scooters or even some e-bikes that are more like motorcycles or whatever. They look a little better than that, but for the price, it offers quite a bit. Yeah, yeah. I like the Daytona quite a bit, man. It's a beast. Crazy. I saw a picture of Rainier standing on it on the CES 25, and like I say, he's a big dude, and man, that scooter, with him standing up on that scooter, it looks. I mean, it looks huge. Hey there, Cyber Scrambler. But yeah, and I tell you what, I that scooter shouldn't be. I mean, and they, I thought that right away when they said that it was going to be, they were targeting under $4,000 for that scooter. Kind of surprised me for what it is, and um, performance, and just it's just really nice, and I'm kind of glad they're going that way, because they don't have one. They don't have a good scooter in that range, and that's the range. It's on the higher end of my range, but yeah, reasonable, man. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a steal, man. It's a steal that you can't get another scooter that does that. I mean, it's in the range. If it goes close to 70 miles an hour, and I've seen like 70. I've seen it being reported 75, 80 miles an hour, but it's only 70. Voro told me. I asked him, specifically, does it really go 80 miles an hour? And he said 70 is probably more realistic. So it does go about 70 miles an hour, depending on the range. I think it said about 40 miles of range, but they are debating between the 40 amp hour and the 50 amp hour. So depending on how that goes. But yeah, 4,000 for that scooter. And there's no question. There's no question. It's worth it. And I know it's a new scooter, and new scooters have problems and so forth, but it's Voro, and they have they say the same thing about Cabo. I mean, I was this close to buying a Cabo. My two scooters that what'll be priced at five K plus, the Daytona scooter. I'm told Voro let me know that they're targeting 4,000. That's their target. So I'm sure it'll be 39.99 when they say under 4,000. But of course, with tax and so forth, it'll probably be four grand plus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they're targeting $4,000 on a Daytona. They told me that. They told me that themselves. I sent an email out asking them some initial questions, price and so forth, and they eventually got back to me. I was kind of hoping they would get back to me quicker, but they eventually got back to me. And Melvin at World, he got back to me and said they're targeting $4,000. There's a 72 volt. It's either going to be 40 amp hour or 50 amp hour. Should get about 40 miles of range. Going to be, what is it, 1,500 or 2,000 watt motors, hub motors. Yeah, that I think they need a scooter kind of like the yeah, like the RS Lite. I think they need something kind of like that. So yeah, 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 protege. Yeah, I think they are. I think they're really trying to squeeze it in under $4,000. Interesting enough, I said that on their YouTube channel. They were asking, what all they would like to see and so forth, and what all that they wanted the scooter to be able to do. And I commented, and this is before I knew how much it was going to be. I said, whatever you got to do to keep it under $4,000, that's my opinion. That's what you should do. I don't know if that's where they got the idea or not, but in any case, I hit the nail on the head, and that's their target is $4,000. So it's a great scooter for $4,000, and telling you, I'm tempted to save up and wait and get that when I can. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome scooter. All right, gear up, brother Jay. Appreciate you, bro. So yeah, I tell you the one thing that's kind of been on my mind a lot lately is that these scooter companies. Once again, I did lots of research on the Klima. I mean, I did so much research on the Hover One Journey Max. You know, I did a little bit of research. I wanted to know what scooter I could get for the least amount of money that would uh, take me from here to there. And so I found the Journey Max and thought it was a good deal. But the truth is, I didn't want to throw more than 500 bucks into a scooter and it not be what I was looking for. And I had a really good experience with it in general. Like I said, not any problems other than the tires. But that's going to happen. I don't blame it on the scooter manufacturer. The hub motors are just what they are. It's kind of difficult to work with, and but I mean, it's a $500 scooter, so I didn't expect anything different than what I got. But it was a pleasant surprise. Performance was just as described on Electric Scooter Guide. The hills are nothing. The acceleration's awesome, and the range is decent. I mean, for 500 bucks is tough to beat. Um, and so, but I did quite a bit of research on scooters and where I wanted to be price wise, and actually I was like seriously close. I was deciding between this scooter and the Wolf was the Wolf Warrior X, I think it is. Another 10-inch scooter was a better deal at the time than the Klima, about $500 cheaper. I mean, I feel like the Klima was worth another $500. That's why I paid. Well, actually, only 300 or four, 1899 is what I paid. So 1900 bucks for the Klima, and I thought that was a good deal based on what I had seen lately. I hadn't seen it that cheap before, and so uh, I went ahead and got it. And I didn't, I haven't regretted, going after the Klima. It's been a decent scooter once I got all the problems fixed, but lots of problems up front, especially the brakes. So yeah, my thing is this. My thing is I've done a lot of research on scooters. I have so much been obsessed with scooters probably the last 6 months. And so when I decided that, I really enjoy the Journey Max, but I was ready for a better scooter, I had some scooters, that I considered. And, I went through lists and I created lists. I wrote tons of lists down. I just did all this research, and um, I was just pen and paper, pencil and paper, whatever, just making notes on all the scooters that I liked. And uh, and then and I started doing some stuff in like Excel and creating um, worksheets and so forth, and filtering and kind of looking at different prices versus performance. And what I found was like the Wolf Warrior X was a super good deal for what it offered. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. I would like to get a big beefy scooter next for sure, 72-volt, 11-inch, something like that. That'd be my goal. I like the new, and you know what? To be honest, like I said before, I'm I'm a little hesitant. I mean, I think Boro Motors is a good company and everything, but I thought Fluid Freeride was a good company, and not that they're necessarily a bad company. I kind of understand some of the problems that I had early on: lack of parts, slow service. I mean, they were winding down, and so supposedly what I hear, they used to be a lot better. Customer service used to be a lot better there. They had a good reputation, but once again, for whatever reason, they didn't handle their business correctly, and so they started dwindling down there at the end. And I probably obviously got in a couple of months before they decided to file bankruptcy. So not good for me. But I trusted it because I did a lot of research. They're a reputable company. They're connected to NAMI, which is another very well-regarded company. So they're the number one seller of NAMIs in the United States. Uh, and NAMI is a really reputable brand. So I mean, that's just a really strong, hold in the market. Having that presence in the market. So there was nothing that I felt like that I had to worry about. They offered this lifetime support and so forth, half off their parts. It was just I was like, yeah, this is it. This is the scooter I want. This is the place that I want it from. Uh, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger on the Nami, on the Klima. So I didn't go with the Wolf Warrior X, and I'm glad. We look at Cabo now; they're facing their challenges, and they face challenges. Now I haven't heard any specific problems with the Wolf Warrior X, and Cabo has a pretty good reputation too. So my point is, I don't know if I can trust scooter companies, and that's so I'm having some second thoughts as far as where I want to go, how I want to do it, or whatever. Like I said, I'm kind of getting a little bit gun shy because of like all these topsy turviness. I mean, I don't know. I assume Voral's doing their thing. They're coming out with new scooters. They're doing this. They're doing that. But look at Roadrunner. They came out with this RX-7, supposed to be the next big thing. Had tons of problems, and that's not their first scooter. That's not the first scooter they designed. Now they went a little crazy with the lights and so forth, and that's problems where the problems existed. The problems didn't really exist with the scooter in general, other than normal scooter problems. But I didn't really think that was going to be an issue. So when that tanked, when everyone started seeing that problem with their Luminor lights, then that was a big deal. So I don't know. I don't know for sure that Voro Motors isn't going to be going out of business in 6 months. I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure they're not going to tell me that. Fluid wasn't just saying, hey, you might not want to buy a scooter from us right now because we're probably going to be going out of bankruptcy in a couple months, going into bankruptcy. So, they're not gonna tell me that. They're gonna business as usual. We're doing, so forth, and they're gonna run it as long as they can until they have to go that direction. So now I'm not saying that it appears that Foro is going to go out of business. They don't seem like they're going to go out of business. They're investing in this new scooter, and I wouldn't think they are going to go out of business. But I don't know that. Maybe they're. Once again, Fluid shouldn't be out of business, in my opinion. They have a good position in the market. So Foro is doing what they're doing, but for all I know, they're partying behind the scenes and spending all their money, and they're over leveraged on the Daytona, whatever it's going to be, and they're over leveraged on that. And what if it has problems? What if it's so powerful it's constantly burning out the motor controllers for the riders? I don't know, and so those are all things that I have to consider. But yeah, so that to me is just it's something to think about, and I'll be thinking about it too. The one company that I wouldn't have too much concern at all about going out of business is Segway, and Segway they're probably not going out of business. So you see, you would be at least assured that Segway would take care of you if you have a problem there, and I'm fairly certain they're going to be around. So, and I think that I can count on them to handle their business behind the scenes because they're proven. But the problem with Segway is they only make one scooter that I like, and that's the GT2. The GT3 Pro is decent, and I might consider it in the future. I really have to see how much it's going to be. I don't think I'll pay $4,000 for the GT3 Pro. So if they charge $4,000, it's not going to be on my list of scooters. I'd much rather get an E-Move Daytona. So right now, I can't see myself paying very much money for the GT3 Pro. I kind of like the GT2 at at 2,500. Right now, it's saying out of stock. You can get on Amazon for like 3 grand. Um, but if they restock it at 2,500, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. And if the new one comes out at a decent price, that's a possibility. But I don't know what that's going to be. They say they're going to be competitive, so I would say if it's $3,000 or less, that's competitive. 3,500 to 4,000 is a tad high. Let's send a text real quick. Sorry. All right. So yeah, like I said, I like Segway a lot, but I just don't like too many of their scooters. And so uh, you have to see if they keep the GT2 and the GT3 Pro, or at least they have something to go through. Could be a possibility that I'll get a GT2 in the future. I know it's a 52 volt, but yeah, I like it a lot. I just really like it for what it is. It's super stable, which I also think the new GT3 Pro is probably less stable. And I heard from some people that they know people, someone that has them, and they're saying the same thing. And just looking at how it's designed, that was my guess as well. It folds up easier and to a smaller form factor, but it's also uh, less beefy on the bottom. Like that, they kind of took away from the bottom symmetry, and sort of moved it to where the stem is longer, so it folds up better. But by doing that, only like half the stem folded up. Everything else was connected to the base before, which is why I believe that so many people said that it had felt really sturdy and had really nice stability. And going 40 miles an hour didn't even seem like you were going 40 miles an hour on that scooter. So that's kind of stuff that I look for in a scooter, and I think they did a good job with that scooter quite a bit. But I think they went away from that toward portability, and it's a 72 volt, which is interesting. It's a 72 volt, is it 30 amp hour, 40 amp hour? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's 30. And the same thing, they had a 52 volt 30 amp hour, and so they only jumped up once from 60 to 72, but the stats are roughly the same. So it goes about 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour faster than the GT2, which isn't completely significant, and gets about the same range top speed. I don't see that. I see 8 to 10 miles an hour difference. 10 miles, sorry. 8 to 10 miles difference between the two. So I like the way the GT3 Pro looks better than the GT2. I don't have a problem with the way the GT2 looks, but I like the display better on the GT3 Pro. I felt there was a little, I know that some people like the see-through, whatever that thing was that connected to the handlebars. Personally, I didn't. It's okay, but I prefer just a regular color display, regular, like the Klima or something like that. So I like the new display on the GT3 Pro. I like the design of it. I like that they're using like a tube frame, like the Nami's, and I don't know. I think it's a really nice design. The scooter looks just super nice, but it also looks like it doesn't have the stability of a GT2, and don't know what the price is going to be. So if it's priced really well, it'll be a consideration of mine, and I would feel better going with a Segway. First of all, I just hear they really don't have a lot of problems, which I mean I can see that being Segway. Segway has I mean they're the pioneers of personal electric transportation, so PEVs, whatever. So they invented the hub motor, so to speak, and so they, I trust them. I trust that company to offer a good scooter that's going to last a long time, and also uh, support their product. They're going to be around. You know, Segway is going to go out of business last. If everybody else goes out of business, they're going to be last. How it sits right now, anybody could come in and take over. I like where Voro Motors is. I like what they're doing. If I had to say that just at a glance, what I thought, I'd say that it looks good. Things are looking good for them. They're doing the right things. Uh, it's important. They're focusing on customer support, customer service. It's huge. You gotta do that first. Mistakes are going to happen early on, but you got to be there for your customers. And so I think they're working toward that. I won't say they're perfect, but they're working toward that. My experience with them has been pretty good in general. So I don't have anything from a personal experience with Voro Motors to say negative about them. Only what I have been told from people that have negative experiences. And it's not hearsay. I mean, if someone tells me they have the problem, then they have the problem. Me discussing that is, that's what I do. So yeah, I think that I think it's a shaky ground. The electric scooter market right now is a bit shaky. You never know what's going to happen, but I do like the eMove Daytona a lot. I still like the Cruiser V2 dual motor. I wasn't interested in the regular V2, but the dual motor I like a lot, and I think it's priced well. I think $2,000 is adequately priced. So I like that. I like that price for that scooter. Any scooter that's roughly 60 volts, 10-inch tires, decent battery, $2,000 is the deal. The Max Fun, I still keep an eye on that scooter. It's got a lot of little upgrades, for what it is. I know it's $18.99, which I feel is adequately priced. There's no question. It's a 72-volt system, so it's adequately priced, but it's not a good deal. I'm really, I'm looking for a deal for sure. I'm looking for bang for the buck, and that's why I got the Claim. I felt like that was actually a deal. Under $2,000 for that scooter is a deal. And so I jumped on it. Right now, you can't get a Klima Max for less than $2,800, and so yeah, that I wouldn't do. There are other scooters in that price, such as right now the RS Lite is that much, and I probably would buy that before. Other than the problems they have, I mean, I'm just looking at the scooters up against each other. All right, guys, I guess I'll jump off here. It was fun to sign on for a little bit and see if I could upload this somehow. I recorded it either way, so I think YouTube might let me. It's my first time doing live stream here, so I will. I'll get this uploaded to the channel one way or the other. If YouTube lets me just take it from here and upload it, I'll do that. Otherwise, I have it recorded on my OBS and I'll upload it myself later. All right, thanks, guys. Whoever's out there, thanks for joining me. I'll try to get on again soon and chop it up with you guys. Thank you, Jay. Bye, guys.